Company of Heroes 3 launched in 2023 with a thud, buggy broken and blasted by the community. But 2 years later, this game has clawed its way back from the grave, and it might just be the best real-time strategy experience you can play in 2025. Whether you're a hardcore CoH vet, a returning player burned at launch, or brand new to the series, this is the perfect time to jump in. In this video, we're breaking down the 10 biggest reasons you should be playing CoH3 right now, from overhauled combat mechanics and deep faction diversity to the Fire and Steel DLC and a multiplayer scene that's finally thriving. Stick around, because if you thought this game was dead, you're about to be surprised. The core tactical gameplay of Company of Heroes 3 has undergone a profound transformation since launch. Where the original release suffered from muddy combat and sluggish responsiveness, today's game is sharp, lethal, and tense. The reworked lethality model means that infantry caught in the open die fast, and cover actually functions as a survival necessity. The changes to suppression mechanics, line of sight indicators, and directional armor create an environment where tactical decision-making is not just encouraged, but vital. Players now win battles by understanding terrain, exploiting angles, timing their retreats, and flanking vehicles. Elevation gives accuracy bonuses, armor has facings, and abilities like smoke barrages or satchel charges add weighty moment-to-moment tension. What once felt like an unfinished sketch now feels like a tightly tuned battlefield simulator where a single misstep or a moment of brilliance can flip the outcome of an entire match. Factions in Company of Heroes 3 have evolved into deeply distinct identities, offering an impressive range of strategies and rhythms. The U.S. forces are about adaptability and tech upgrades, rifle squads can be customized to handle almost anything, and Shermans can be tweaked into elite E8 variants. Wehrmacht players thrive on methodical, utility-driven play, leaning into healing posts, bunkers, and calculated power spikes with units like the Broom Bear and Panzer IVs. British forces sit in the middle, masters of versatility and smart timing. Their vehicles can be refunded, their infantry retooled, and their late-game presence is defined by strategic flexibility. Then there's the Africa Corps, a wild faction that bends the rules entirely. They rely on rapid tempo, mobile light armor, and even salvaging or recovering destroyed vehicles to maintain battlefield momentum. Each faction now feels like its own game within a game, demanding and rewarding a tailored approach that encourages long-term mastery. Multiplayer in CoH3 is a robust and exciting experience that supports both competitive and chaotic styles of play. The game offers something for every temperament. One-on-one games reward precision, timing, and map control. Team games, on the other hand, become symphonies of artillery, overlapping abilities, and battlefield synergy. The design of team maps has improved, with more choke points, terrain variation, and flanking routes that make the most of the engine's tactical depth. Custom games, advanced AI mods, and even co-op versus AI challenges provide additional ways to engage, whether you're in the mood for intense competition or more laid-back experimentation. The addition of ranked matchmaking and better faction randomization helps keep the scene active, while quality-of-life tools like the tactical map and improved UI make competitive play easier to manage. The addition of new battle groups, especially with the Fire and Steel DLC, has dramatically expanded the game's strategic variety. This expansion introduced 4 doctrine options, each adding unique tools to their respective factions. The US now fields the Pershing heavy tank, fast, deadly, and versatile, supported by team weapon buffs and doctrinal half-tracks. The Wehrmacht gains access to the King Tiger and a unique stealth-focused early game, along with a V1 rocket strike that hits without warning. The British received Canadian infantry and flame-based abilities for map control and AoE suppression, while the Africa Corps now fields the massive Elephant tank destroyer, a long-range behemoth that needs to be guarded but which deletes enemy armor from across the map. These battle groups reinforce existing playstyles while allowing for completely new ones. They've helped refresh the meta, especially in team games, and have injected new life into the game's long-term viability, despite concerns about paywalling. Presentation has become a much more polished and immersive part of the experience. Voice acting has been expanded dramatically, with units now reacting contextually to battlefield events. When a Tiger is destroyed, for instance, there's a specific announcer call-out. Infantry acknowledge tactical orders like repositioning or suppressive fire. Visual fidelity has improved as well. Explosions, smoke, tracer rounds, and terrain deformation all look more visceral. The user interface has been streamlined, making unit abilities more accessible and important information easier to read in real time. Faction-colored tactical flares help teammates coordinate better, and command bar clarity has been improved, While not a radical redesign, the cumulative effect is one of enhanced clarity, weight, and immersion. The battlefield looks, sounds, and feels more alive, more dangerous, and more cinematic. Single-player content, once the game's weakest element, has received updates that, while not revolutionary, make it far more worthwhile. The Italy campaign, originally criticized for being a dull string of generic skirmishes with a lifeless, Total War-style overlay, has been patched with better mission variety, improved strategic tools, and more meaningful company specializations. New scripted missions have been added to break up the monotony, and better integration of partisan abilities and fire support makes the map layer more interactive. While it's still nowhere near the quality of CoH1's Normandy missions, it now functions as a useful tutorial and a sandbox for new players to experiment with the game's mechanics. The Africa Corps campaign fares better. Its missions incorporate salvage and recovery mechanics, reward adaptive play, and even feature branching resource allocation decisions. Ignoring the tone-deaf cutscenes, the campaign itself is fun, fast-paced, and mechanically interesting, especially for players who like to experiment with vehicle-heavy compositions. Customization and modding options have quietly turned into a strong feature of the game's ecosystem. While not as openly mod-friendly as some older titles, CoH3 now supports community-created advanced AI modes, custom rule sets, and tailored skirmish experiences. You can adjust difficulty modifiers, remove fog of war, automate reinforcement, and even play matches where micro isn't required at all. These tools empower both casual players and theory crafters to explore the game's systems in creative ways. For newer players, this creates a safe learning environment. For veterans, it means endless replayability. In many ways, the community's efforts to expand the game through mods, memes, guides, and challenges has become a key component of why the game is now thriving. Despite its ongoing flaws, Company of Heroes 3 remains the only game in the franchise receiving active support. That alone is a powerful reason to play it in 2025. CoH1 and CoH2, while still beloved, suffer from outdated netcode, dwindling online populations, and a lack of current development. CoH3, by contrast, has a healthy player base, fast matchmaking, and an evolving meta shaped by regular updates. It is also the most technically accessible game in the series, thanks to modern system support, better performance scaling, and cross-play functionality on PC at least. Console support has unfortunately been abandoned. If you're looking to get into competitive RTS, this is where you'll find the most active player base, the quickest queues, and the best chance to grow alongside the evolving community. The fire and steel aesthetic isn't just literal in this game, it also reflects how much the development process has been forged by pressure. CoH3's journey from broken launch to competent, enjoyable RTS has mirrored a kind of baptism by fire. Relic's separation from Sega has made them fully responsible for their successes and failures. With Fire and Steel, they've taken ownership of their design vision. They've begun integrating community feedback more directly, even adding long-requested mechanics like functional breaching, still buggy but improving, and new voice lines that acknowledge critical feedback. The game still has balanced missteps and content gating concerns, but it's no longer the directionless, cynical product it once was. Instead, it feels like a game that wants to grow and a team that wants to fix what remains broken. What ties all of this together is that Company of Heroes 3 is, at its core, fun to play. Whether you're microing tanks in a narrow alley, launching a desperate push for the final victory point, or watching a last-ditch satchel wipe an entire enemy squad, the game is rich with satisfying moments. Every match is a puzzle made of unit composition, timing, positioning, and resource management. It rewards creativity, boldness, patience, and intuition. It punishes mistakes but teaches from them, and even when the systems wobble, as they sometimes still do, it never stops offering opportunities for heroism, ingenuity, or comedy. It is a game that invites you to think like a general but feel like a soldier. And in 2025, that experience is finally worth the price of admission. Company of Heroes 3 isn't just back, it's better than ever. Whether you're here for the strategy, the chaos, or the tanks, there's never been a better time to play. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments, what's your favorite faction in CoH3 right now?